All right. Looks like I'm live. I'm gonna play around with my lighting a little bit here before we get started. Mm, Really a fan of that. Yeah, I really don't like that. I don't want it to be too bright, but I don't want it too dark. I honestly feel like those over there. Get these moved. Hmm. Oh, let me see. All right, what's up? Um, all right, I believe the chat room is working. Okay, looks like that works. Looks like two people are watching. One is who's here. I really don't know about this lighting though. Hope y'all can hear me okay. My hair needs touched up again. See, I don't like that. It makes my skin look red. Oh, hey Casper. Hey yo, what's the story on the lighting? I'm not like it. That is cool tone. Wow. I don't like how bright that is. I feel like that gives a little flashback though. I think I like that one the best. I don't know. Audio is. Thanks for letting me know the audio is good. That one ain't bad. It's just the curse of being. You know what's funny is I'm actually not this pale in real life. I've actually got a really, really good tan going. You should see me in the winter. Holy crap. Pasty. Mountain Dew tonight. Right. Right. So I got a computer here next to me because I'm trying to do this differently. Instead of trying to write down everything in that goes through the podcast, I'm trying to um, kind of do it as I go, do my research as I go. I just feel like it makes it a little more fun. But if you guys are sticking to me because I just got done working out. Bell's going off. It's 8 o'clock. Uh, oh my. Connection's unstable. Pfft, what else is new? Wait, did I freeze up? Did I freeze up there for a minute? Saying my connection's crap. I am upstairs though, so. Hmm. Hmm. mean, we can see and hear you well. That's good. I guess that's what's most important, that y'all can see my ugly mug. So, all right. All right. I guess we can get started. Um, Thank y'all for coming tonight. Welcome to Sit, Sip, and Solve, where we sit down, we listen to Jar of Rebuke episodes as they come out, and we sit with a drink, take notes, compared. Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I really don't deserve you guys. We're going to sit down tonight and we're going to analyze Jar of Rebuke episode 2 called Snipe Hunt. Now, I need to put a disclaimer out there for you guys. You want to say hi, don't you? Guys, this is Jaslyn. Show them your kiwi. Here, bring her to the little rainbow kiwi. All right, downstairs, please. I'm doing something. Love you. Love you more. Yeah, Jaslyn, come here. Come here. You guys will like this. So, hey, Jaslyn, do you know how to do a creepy little girl stare where you just kind of do this? Put these down, put your hands to your side. Now just go like this. Now, real quietly say, "Can I come in?"
Can I come in?
Good job. Casper said you're a black-eyed child. Love you, babe. See ya. I should get her those black scleras for Halloween. Dress her in a little gray dress. And oh my God. All right, downstairs, please. I need to focus. It's bad enough I got ADD. Okay. Nobody wants nothing to do with you when you don't got. Oh, what? I'm sorry, guys. All right, so put my disclaimer out there. My name is Becky. I am straight, cisgender, gender nonconformative. My pronouns are she, her. I am an independent reviewer. I have no creational or productive involvement in Jar of Rebuke whatsoever. All opinions, statements, views, and theories are solely my own and do not reflect the opinions of Jar of Rebuke, its team, or affiliates. And I need to give you a warning that my reviews contain spoilers. So if you haven't listened to Jar of Rebuke pilot or the second episode, Snipe Hunt, I'm going to link down below, but sign up first and then come back once you've figured it out. But this live will probably be done by then. So, all right. The Jar of Rebuke episode Snipe Hunt starts off with Dr. Jared Howell basically saying that it's been a while since he's done a audio journal. Now, if you remember from the first episode, Dr. DeMond had recommended that Jared do an audio journal to try to bring back his memories that were lost after the incident. So, like I said, I'm not going to give too many details from the first Jar of Rebuke, because if y'all are watching this, y'all should be caught up. He said that he's been working with Dr. Castillo during that time. Forget what her first name is. I just write down names, like last names and all that. But he describes her as not a bad person. She's always chipper. Chipper as in, those people who are overly happy. But he also gets like a sense that she's faking being so happy. He mentions that she gives him looks from a distance, and he says that he doesn't think that these looks are like resentment or like she doesn't like him. He just gets the sense that she's not very happy about them suddenly being partnered up this way. She had apparently worked at another sudden transfer What exactly the sudden transfer was for, it's not really been disclosed yet. Um, but it sounds like Dr. Jared Howell is not, I'm just going to call him Jared for short, you know. It sounds like he's the type of person that doesn't like change. I mean, there's a lot of people in this world that don't like change, but I can't help but wonder if the change that he is struggling with, um, it's very traumatic. At least I think it would be that if you lose your memories in an accident, you don't like, I wouldn't assume you would really like change very much because it's bad enough your life has been changed so much by not remembering your past. So I could kind of see why, you know, he's having trouble adjusting to this, even though there's oh, Casper, could you do me a favor? Can you disclose what Dr. Castillo's pronouns are? She, her, they, them, like, could you maybe clarify that for me so that way I'm not getting the message wrong? I'm assuming it's she, her. She, her. Thank you. Okay, so he gets along with her. He says she's a nice person. Of course, faking being happy to be there, but you know that's just things that are just going to take time. He did mention though that she's very intelligent. He has no complaints of her skills, so it sounds like he's trying to keep his opinion on her professional, which is an admirable thing to do. I can't help but wonder though, like she keeps giving him glances, and he doesn't really say. He can't really figure out what the looks are for, other than maybe she's just not thrilled to be there. But it kind of ties back to episode 1 where he said he couldn't live on the enclosure's campus because he said that he just got tired of living there. And I don't know if you guys remember, I had said that maybe the others were giving him weird looks because of his inability, it seems, to die, or everything that happened after the incident. Maybe the workers there know something about him that he's not aware of, and maybe they're being forced to be kept secret about it. That was one of my theories, is that he's got some sort of supernatural ability, whether he's a cryptid himself, whether he's a type of supernatural being like a god, a demigod, who knows. By the way, come up with a new theory. Maybe Casper is part cryptid, part person. Like maybe it's not like a experiment type of splicing. Maybe it's a classic textbook case of mother or father was one and the other person was another. Like who knows? Who knows how that turned out? But I just wanted to throw that theory out there that I thought about. So he mentions that she doesn't work. Uh, she didn't work directly with dangerous cryptids when she was at her other job. So maybe another reason why she's so quiet and keeps to herself is because she's just not. Jared mentioned that he's been desensitized by a lot of the stuff that's happened. Like he says, when you work with these kind of dangerous cryptids, you get kind of desensitized to a lot of things. So maybe she's in the process of going through that desensitizing a little bit, but regardless, he doesn't really give too much opinions on her other than professional standpoint. So there's that. Um, you guys already know that my opinion on the enclosure so far is that they're shady as anything. Well, another thing that he mentions that kind of makes this company a little shady is he mentions that he didn't think she got a pay raise when she transferred. And he also points out that he believes none of the employees there get hazard pay. Now, what kind of freaking company are you working for that you've got people working with cryptids, dangerous ones at that, and you're not even giving hazard pay? It's like, okay, yeah, like the insurance is great, sure, and you get paid a good rate, I'm sure, but it's like bonus because you survived. I mean, show a little gratitude other than putting a freaking key on your neck as soon as you wake up from a coma. But I digress. I still say that's another reason he doesn't like Dr. Carmen. I'm willing to bet that person had a big say in that. Um, he notes that a few days ago, no projects were due. He literally had nothing to do. And he mentions that he went out into the community to basically walk around, maybe enter a shop or two. He did end up entering a shop, but we'll get to that in a minute, which um, he didn't really disclose why he likes to keep busy, but I'm going to assume that because he has his struggles with amnesia, if he's not busy, then he's left alone to his thoughts too much, and it would probably lead to a severe type of depression. Maybe it makes the headache. He goes into the town. He walks a couple laps around the town. Um, he mentions that it's very hot and humid. So wherever this town Wichton is, very hot, very humid farm town. He goes into a bakery owned by Mrs. Weddington. Um, I paid attention a little bit, and I understand that Mrs. Weddington's pronouns are they, them, Casper. That's correct. Did I hear that right? They, them for Mrs. Weddington. Okay. While he's answering that, he runs into Dr. Amir Rahal. This is the first time. They, them, and she, her. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. He mentions that he runs into Dr. Amir Rahal, who frequents the town. This is the first time Mrs. Weddington will alternate. Oh, okay. So does she identify as non-binary, gender fluid? Like what exactly is her preferences there? Like how would we describe her? Okay, gender fluid. Okay. Thanks for clarifying, Casper. So this is the first time we really got to hear Dr. Rahal's first name, Amir. So that's an interesting fact to know. Dr. Rahal mentions that when he's out in town off the clock, he doesn't mind going by a first name basis, but he prefers that if you're in his office having a session, keep it professional, Dr. Rahal, which is, cool. That's respectable. While Jared is in the bake shop, Mrs. Weddington basically shares with him that there's going to be an annual charity snipe hunt, which is going to benefit the nearby high school, which is, pretty cool way to have a charity to support your local school. Not many people from the enclosure seem to go out and participate in town events or such, which one of those, maybe they figure they're getting paid to work. They're not getting paid to, go out and socialize. Once again, comes back to why are so many people from the enclosure so secretive? I get it's kind of a somewhat secretive job place, but it's like why are people at the enclosure just acting so sketchy? I just can't get over it. Okay. Jared decides to go to the snipe hunt, and he basically explains how a snipe hunt goes. Now, what I'm going to do is I will explain. I live here in Pennsylvania, so snipe hunting for us is a little bit different than snipe hunting is in Wichton. In Pennsylvania, our thing of the snipe hunt is basically it's very similar. You get a trash bag, you gather in the evening, flashlight, and we get a flashlight though. We don't do noisemakers or nothing. But Casper, you're going to get a laugh out of us Pennsylvania people. So our snipe hunts are kind of like a rite of passage for the younger kids. It's usually done like on camping trips. We did it at our teens church youth camp. Oh my God, I'm still scarred from it. Holy crap. You get a bag, you get a flashlight, you get a group of people. There's not like multiple groups. There's like one group. There's a counselor and then the rest of the leaders. Now, what we do is we would go into the woods and it would be pitch black out. The only light was your flashlight. They take you pretty deep in the woods. Like we would go almost 5 to 7 miles deep in those woods. I mean, we're talking like not just Pennsylvania is a lot of like hills and mountains. So tours to go into, we went up hills, down hills, twists and turns. We just went really deep in there. Now, we did not go in with the intent on abandoning somebody in the woods. This was more just like to scare the younger kids, kind of to make them toughen up a little bit. And it was just fun for the older kids to just scare the bejesus out of the rest of us. But here's the part that's going to amuse you. If Jared mentions a lot of the same things with snipe hunting, only they have noisemakers. So that way, when they go in the woods, they use these noisemakers to try to attract the snipes. What we did, and this is, like I said, how stupid Pennsylvania is. Hey, Louise, I'm just rambling. Louise is my youngest sister. I'm assuming that means mom's on with you. Hi, Mom. So we would go in the woods, and instead of having noisemakers to attract the snipes, we would literally do a snipe call. Now, we didn't have like little like duck calls or nothing to call these snipes. We would literally go in the woods and we'd just walk around and we'd go, snipe, And that was a snipe call because, our adults got a kick out of making us look like freaking idiots. So we would do that. And then we would pick like spots, like random bushes and all that. Isn't it though? That's the stupidest sound you'll ever hear in your life, isn't it? So what we would do is kind of similar to what Jared's saying. Jared said they'd go in the woods. So they would pick one person to abandon in the woods, and then that person would have to try to survive. And if you weren't, you got some kind of punishment. I'd have laughed if it was a good old fashioned hazing, but no such luck. So yeah, what we would do is we would basically just, some of us would just kind of like disappear. And then we would do it where we tell the other kids, hey, where's this person? And then it would freak out the younger kids because us older ones would just sneak off and you wouldn't know where we went. We did it quietly. But then it was a classic, that we'd take the flashlight. What was that? What was that? And we would flip the flashlight around to kind of confuse the young kids and freak them out. Now, here's another fun fact. Snipes, it's not that they're not real. Snipes are a subcategory of 26 different species of wading birds. So Jared mentions that every year the description of a snipe was different, and it depended on the mood that the camp leaders were in. Our camp leaders always described them as a small bird, kind of like a kiwi, but longer beak. But I don't know how well you'll be able to see this. Maybe you won't with the. There we go. That is a pin-tailed snipe. So as you can see, that is what around the woods for like 2 or 3 hours. Snipe! And I can't keep a freaking straight face with that. Oh my God. So we would do that for a few hours, and then the older kids who disappeared would literally sneak back up after the counselors were freaking the younger ones out, and we'd do the classic try to scare. Oh my God, they made me cry. Mom, I don't know if you remember 7th grade when Rich and them took me out in the woods, and I was freaking out so bad. Oh my God, that was traumatic. That was freaking traumatic. So yeah, he goes out in the woods and he knows the rules. He's given a flashlight, not a flashlight too, but he's given his bag a clacker, to try to catch these snipes. Guys should have seen this coming. I mean, as soon as they said snipe hunting, as soon as they said the rules, I was like, oh, for the love of God, here we go. So go out in the woods. They trick Jared into diving into a bush, gets a poke to the eye with a stick. Lucky the poor guy ain't blind. It's like, okay, you can survive death. You can't survive a black eye, but then when he comes out of the bush, he looks around and he realizes that everybody's gone. Now, Casper, I'm going to make you laugh at something else. You mentioned, Jared mentioned, Casper plays the voice of Dr. Jared Hell. Hope I'm allowed to say that, but I just did, so it's out there. Jared mentions that he had been duped, and then he mentions that he was the dupee. Now, here's what's funny, Casper, and there's no way you could have known this. When I was in high school, my maiden name was, who have seen that coming? Who possibly could have seen that coming? So he starts to make his way back to the campsite. He doesn't get disoriented, which, being a specialist on cryptids, he's probably trained a little bit in survival. So I'm sure he knows how to tell like directions and how to find his way out of bad situations. But as he's walking towards the direction of the campsite, he makes a note that he can hear something following behind him. So he turns around and he sees one of these knot deer. Now I have that's basically what the face of a knot deer looks like, but it's mentioned in the podcast that he has the knot deer also has human type of back legs, which I just need to say we need a full drawing, like a full body drawing of this knot deer. I haven't found one yet, but maybe I haven't looked hard enough. But he says that the deer is kind of just staring at him. It's not moving, not really doing nothing. And he mentions that they're normally not aggressive, but little voice in the back of his intuition, however you'd word it, it basically says, run, move it, And no sooner does that voice tell him to run, the deer rears up on its back legs. And that's when shit hits the fan and he realizes, book it, cheese it, whatever. So he starts running. He runs. He basically says that he can hear the deer behind him, so it's obviously chasing him. It hits him really hard in the center of his back. And if deer are anything, if not deer are similar to like actual like white-tailed deer, we have like a lot of white-tailed deer up here in Pennsylvania. Usually the males they are aggressive in like what do they call it, when they're in rut or mating season or whatever that terminology is. So it's not quite impossible for me to picture a nut deer not being aggressive if it's mating season. But he notes later on in the podcast that it's unusual that the deer attacked him. And it's unusual that he makes a note that the snipe hunt happens the same day every year, same time. It's never changed. When he questions the crowd, they basically say, well, it's just tradition and they just don't feel like changing it. Which is another thing that's interesting if you think about it, because what if the weather's bad? What if, something happens that you would think would prevent this event from happening, but it's still every year it's the same thing. It's very interesting. But he finally makes it out of the woods. His glasses are a little broken, they're bent, and he mentions the enclosure can replace them, but they take forever to do it. I'm telling you, that enclosure is a shit place to work. He finally makes it out of the woods. He turns around and he sees not only the nut deer that hit him and chased him, but he sees a whole group of them and they're just staring at him from the woods. He can't understand why they're not continuing to chase him. He's wondering if maybe they were trying to warn him to get out of the woods. He's standing there looking at the deer. He hears as he describes it, a banshee-like cry. Now, if you've ever heard a banshee cry, banshee is another type of cryptid. Banshees are popular in Irish folklore. They are basically they usually appear as a type of woman, either an old woman or a young beautiful woman, depending on the lore. And banshee-like scream. He doesn't say it's an actual banshee scream, but whatever it is, it's terrifying and he can't figure out what the heck's going on. But by this point, he's turned around, he's joined the group. His back's killing him, which if you get hit back in the back with a deer, you're lucky your spine's not broken. So that once again goes along with the I can't die thing. He can still hurt, but him hard. It was just enough to knock him down, but it wasn't really disclosed as to he broke some ribs. He does think he broke some ribs, doesn't mention ever going to get checked out, but who knows. But he didn't really get a broken spine or nothing, which that's a surprise. So he goes back to the campsite and he grabs some warm cider to try to calm himself down. He mentions that he wasn't the first one out of the woods. He wasn't the last. The last person who got out, that sounds about right, especially if you've got a group of high schoolers going in the woods. So he notes that Darius is there with his family. And he makes a point to go over and say hello. They chat for a little bit. Darius can tell that he's not feeling good. So he offers to take him home, but Jared's like, nah, I'll be fine. And he basically says that because he doesn't really want to leave his car at the campground and he doesn't feel like coming back for it later. So he proceeds to drive home. He gets a bath. Of course, he gets home, and that little black-eyed child. Yeah, so there was a lot of interesting things that happened in this story. Um, it's not really anything to add or take away from my theories from the last episode. I'm still convinced that the enclosure is shady. I keep saying that shady is the official Casper. I'm making it canon that shady is the official description of the enclosure. So they're obviously hiding something because they're not giving hazard pay. They're taking forever to replace things when they're destroyed. Um, they're kind of doing things with their workers without really giving them a choice. The enclosure's rating on LinkedIn shady. Zero, yes. Do not recommend. Shady AF. Do not recommend. So it just sounds like the enclosure, they're more worried about their research than they are their anything. Oh, he also mentions in closing that when he went back to the enclosure, he mentions that there's some abnormal energies that are being picked up out in the woods there where he had encountered the knot deer. So it's not really a theory. It's just like a kind of, maybe a point out or something. Maybe the knot deer, maybe he's not too far off by saying that these knot deer were trying to get him out of the woods for something. Not that they truly wanted to hurt him. It's unfortunate he did, but they were trying to get him out of the woods for something. Maybe they sensed his supernatural abilities. Like they say, animals have a sixth sense. So maybe they knew that whatever's in the woods is, a danger to him or something. But nothing's really been disclosed other than there's abnormal readings coming from the woods and nobody knows what it is. Nobody's encountered this type of energy or this strong of energy before. So something's obviously going on in those woods, but we're not really hearing too much more information on the enclosure at this point, other than kind of what they do, which they study cryptids, but what are they studying them for? We haven't really been given a description yet. I'm sure eventually it's going to be mentioned why they're studying these cryptids. And obviously they're catching them, which backs up my theory of, some kind of experimentation. But I'm anxious to see what's going to go on. More sense of Jared, how he deals with stress, what the encounters with these cryptids can be like for him. Um, he doesn't seem too shaken up after everything. He's a little concerned if the knot deer attacked him or whatever they did, but he doesn't really act like he doesn't want to go to work anymore. He wants to quit. So, yeah, a good episode. Let's see where this goes from here. So, all right, guys, that's all I really have to say for tonight. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Casper, thank you for joining and answering a few questions. You're doing a great job. Thank you so much. You're amazing. So I will catch you guys later. Stay safe wherever you are. And bye.